What's up, guys?
LSRS here again, and we're back with another creator interview. If you like these creator interviews, remember to click the like button below and subscribe to leftstickrightstick. And today we have another Japanese creator, O-tera. You may know him from the levels such as the Red Knight series, as well as Bouncy Rush, a team pick level. So let's start off with the first question.
Favorite LBP game in the series and why?
So, O-tera says that's a very difficult question. He probably says LBP is his favorite LBP currently. Although LBP 1 was absolutely great. The atmosphere, the level design, the ideas and music were great. And LBP 2 was great with evolution. Like the evolution of the ideas of LBP 1 it was a great transition on. And LBP3 just increased the possibilities more with being creative, so that's sort of why he's chosen that one. And he says we have more possible ways of putting our ideas into creative little puzzling pieces of art. That's a very good way of putting it. And he also says LBP Vita uses the touch feature very well, and it's a great feature not found in other series. He doesn't have LBP karting, so he can't really comment on that. But yeah, LBP3 is his favorite, and again with all the other creators who have said LBP3 as being their favorite, it's more of because the possibilities have increased with what they can make now, so that's sort of why it's their favorite.
Favorite or most useful character tool and why?
The favorite creator tool of O-tera is the positioning output option of the piston or the bolt is very useful and underappreciated for some reason. For example, his level Bouncy Rush has the bouncy ball, and the minecart in the flooded catacomb. He made that naturally smooth moving between the layers using the piston's positioning output option. So he's saying that that's a little tip that he says is that creators should definitely learn how to use that more. So I guess that is something you should all look up how to do using the position output option for the pistons.
Where do you get your inspirations from?
So O-tera has given a few sort of answers. He says in some cases he's watched a magical fantasy movie, and as you might know, a lot of magic fantasy characters have the magical abilities such as shooting like a beam from the hands or a cane. But the inspiration comes from the idea of actually where does that magic power come from? What is the magic? That question gives him some interesting ideas.
Am I magic?
Yes, and then you stick to the essence of things, and that's what he thinks is the most important. So sort of watching something and sort of questioning the essence of it is what gives O-tera inspiration for his level ideas.
The Red Knight is your main man of the series. How long have you been working on it for?
I first made the Red Knight series in 2011, so it's quite a long time ago. It's 5 years ago that the Red Knight series first introduced back on LBP 2, and it's and he made him in pixel art for the first time around and LBP 3 with the character animation tweaker. And he says that Sackboy is able to be the Red Knight now, albeit with occasional costume resetting bug in his levels. So I guess at first it started off with being as a pixel art level, and then because of the evolution of LBP 3, that he's actually made a costume which Sackboy becomes. He actually becomes the Red Knight. So it's an interesting and cool transition and evolution of the Red Knight series that reflects the evolution of LBP as well, which I think is a really nice little extra.
How long does it typically take you to plan and make a level?
So for O-tera, it takes about 2 to 3 days for something like a mini game. You can make that quite quickly in 2 to 3 days. and platformers might take less than about a week, while adventures take a long time to make because he does a lot of the story work, level design, and he composes the music for his levels as well. So he's all-round creates everything, and he puts a lot of focus into each aspect, I guess, and sort of makes the whole adventure really come together.
How do you normally go about making a level making process?
O-tera doesn't draw sketches.
I don't do that.
Firstly, he'll try to make something from an idea. If it's interesting, it'll become a level. And he has a theory for the way he's going to make a level. And then just the ideas and the time for arrangement of the form are necessary for him. And so basically that means he sometimes focuses so hard it tires him out during making them, making him feel brain dead after sessions. So it's all about him coming with the idea and trying to make it work. If it doesn't work or doesn't seem to go along with the way he's imagining it, he sort of, I guess, he scraps it. So a little tip for you guys: don't focus too hard when you're having trouble.
Your favorite level that you made?
O-tera says this is a difficult question again. He made a level back in LBP3 called Carp. It's a very simple platformer, and maybe that made the base for his level making policy. Simple is best, and anyone can enjoy. Oh, and the squeak sound effect when you grab the sponge in my levels. He got that technique from Carp level, and that sound effect is his favorite. So wow, his favorite is all the way back in LBP3. I guess it's more of a meaningful favorite than fun to play. It's sort of what set the basis, the tone for the rest of his levels. Simple is best, and anyone can enjoy. Definitely a policy that everyone that creates levels in LBP should stick to.
Any tips for creators, and have I got them?
So O-tera has got a lot of tips for you guys. This is going to be one interesting creator interview with lots of tips. He has got 10 tips for you guys, and he says, okay, let's teach 10 tips for creators. So tip number 1, clearly a motif. I think means motif. What do you want to show in your level? Put salt in a cup of coffee. Is it tasty? So sort of just what is the theme of your level and make it clear. Number 2, have an impressive entrance. What do you feel when you go to a friend's house and the entrance is dirty? Not so nice. So of course you want to have a nice entrance. Nice impressive entrance is going to set the tone for players as they carry on through the level. First impression is the best impression. Tip number 3. 1, 2, or 3 layer for a way, direct, clear path, and not. Do you want to wander? And his clarifying phrase is, do you want to wander in the desert of the 16 layers?
Bring it on!
Well, while he says that's a tip, I still think some creators have actually utilized the 16 layers very, very well. But definitely, if it's not necessary, don't feel like you have to use all 16 layers. If you only need 2 or 3, then just use 2 or 3. So it's all about, do you actually need it? Chris Redwalker 6 obviously makes fantastic stuff with 16 layers, but he does always actually fixes you into certain layers, so you don't use all 16. So it's just all about how you actually use it for the player. Just make sure it's quite easy for them to follow. Tip number 4. Ease of viewing the level by using camera angles wisely. His clarifying point is, cut the tomatoes without looking at the knife? Oh, it's a real danger. So obviously you need to think about your camera angles if you're going to change up your camera angles. Definitely make sure you can see what you're doing, and you don't have weird blind spots unless that is part of a feature for your level. Tip number 5, modulation for a level. So make certain parts exiting scary. Use different characters and make different personalities. Don't make a monotone level. Where after a player gets the point, yet another platformer, boring. So sort of like change things up and have certain sections in the level. Don't drag things on too long. So you know, if you feel like maybe a little section has too much of one thing, you know, when he finishes that point, tone it down for that sort of theme and sort of keep it interesting as it goes along. Have it change up a bit. Don't make it too samey throughout. Tip number 6, make a level wide with a widely mind. Okay, so his clarification phrase is, what a garbage room. No one likes clumsy rooms with clunky edges coming your way. So I do not understand this tip, but let me know if you understand this tip in the comments below. That was tip number 6. Tip number 7 is moderate signposts. So make the path clear to understand. Players are not you. They cannot see what you can see clearly sometimes. Showing them too much notes and arrows will also make them think that you think they are dumb. So therefore playtesting is important. Yes, I do think that's quite a good point, because some levels have too many signposts. I don't really feel like it makes me feel dumb, but it just feels unnecessary. It feels like it's just too much being shown that doesn't need to be there. Whereas sometimes I have no idea where the hell I'm going and I need some instructions. So tip number 8, let's stick to sound. Okay, we shall stick to sound. His clarifying phrase is, reverb is good. Oh, it's treasure. Ta-da! Sound control is important. For example, water dampens outside sound, so naturally everything should be quieter underwater. Okay. So that sort of means that you should really think about your sounds when you're actually using them. In their context, make sure they actually sound natural. Let's see. Tip number 9. Impressive goal. His clarifying phrase is, all's well that ends well. So I guess when you make your ending feel like you've achieved something. Have maybe like a fanfare at the end. Just make it impressive, and it makes the player feel like they've actually achieved something at the end of it, rather than just, oh, that's the end. Don't just end it willy-nilly. And the final tip number 10. Swing objects in the screen. Shake some objects. So his clarifying point is, your level looks dead. Let's swing some objects in the screen. Level will instantly look lively. So basically, just put some movement in your level, naturally moving stuff, so that it doesn't look too static and it looks more dynamic. So players will feel better when things look more lively. They'll enjoy it more because they feel like more is going on, even if they don't interact with it. If some things are moving on the screen, it does make you feel like the level is a bit more impressive because more is going on. Even if it's in the background, have some stuff moving, because otherwise your level is going to look dead. Just shake some objects around, swing them around. So those are the 10 tips of O-tera for all creators. Hope you enjoyed those. That was a one long list.
What's up, guys?
We're back to more questions.
How much more of the Red Knight were you planning on creating?
So basically this question stemmed from the Japan servers shutting down, and possibly O-tera not carrying on with LBP. So he had the concept of Red Knight 3 ready. He has uploaded an introduction already, which I'm sure some of you have seen. And of course the levels are yet to become anything though. And he does really like the Red Knight. He thinks he's a very helpful, adventurous, useful little character, and he can have adventures at any time. So I guess it could have carried on forever, because clearly he could just have adventures at any point. But he had already had a concept of Red Knight 3 ready.
Do you feel like LBP3 has limited you in your creation of levels, and in what way?
O-tera doesn't feel limited, especially for now. He says it's limited probably, but he has yet to try to make the impossible with LBP. Of course, when he thinks if LBP could make this, for example, it would be a HUD like paintinator ammo on bottom of the screen. So it's just a heads-up display, which he feels like it could be better for him if he could make those better.
Features/tools you wish existed in LBP.
So O-tera wishes that there was play data sharing on community levels. So, for example, when you play the community level, the level will save what you've done there, and it will affect the next players. Actually, I think that'd be a really cool feature to have. Although I think that could get out of hand very, very quickly. But I'd be very interested to see what kind of levels that could be made if something like that were possible. Definitely really interesting though, this feature, if it could be implemented.
What is the toughest thing you find about creating an LBP?
So his toughest challenge is just sifting through stuff. The capacity of a level has its limit, and also too long of a level or too short a level is not good either. So balance has to be found. Tempo is important too. So he has to identify what is necessary to keep in a level and not unnecessary to keep. You can probably tell that he puts a lot of work into his levels, and I guess the quality of his levels really show his efforts.
Japan servers have shut down. What are your comments on the matter?
Yes, O-tera has said it's sad news. However, he does understand why they shut down the Japanese LBP servers. He says it's because the franchise sales are not good enough and the active player base is small in Japan. And he understands that continuing on the servers will be impossible. But I think it's a little bit complicated. In the first place, Japan's game culture is not particularly popular, especially foreign games are not popular. And foreign language education is not so good in Japan, so a lot of people can't understand the English, and therefore localization is required. So therefore, that just makes it harder for a bigger uptake of LBP in Japan if they don't have localization. And obviously, localization quality sometimes is not that great. And some fans of games and movies get disappointed when the Japanese version is released. For example, LBP has changed the name and the voice of the characters and the tools in the Japanese versions. Oh, okay. And this decision loses sight of LBP's theme Share. That's a real shame. Also, a lot of foreign games have the regulation on expression in Japan. Oh. And cutscenes removing of the original voice, like a forced dubbing of the voices, destroys the usability by changing the controls. It's a daily occurrence, and there's also a problem with advertising. As you know, when we want to touch the newest things, it's not so easy in modern times. When we learn a new one, it's from news or advertising basically. So they know famous brands without particular care, but we can't notice new ones like just as easily. So if you ask Japanese players whether the LBP series appeals to the Japanese market, was it successful, maybe they will say no. But I guess because it's a foreign game, it didn't get much coverage, it wasn't as well advertised in Japan, so that's why it doesn't do well, and I'm sure the forced localization didn't help at all. So, but it's nice to see such an insightful view of the matter of the Japan service shutting down.
We have been told Japanese players will still be able to play online, etc. If they get a US or EU version of game, will you be, or will this be the end of you and LBP?
O-tera says he probably will not be getting a US or EU version of the LBP to carry on, because main problem is because LBP DLC has region lock. so therefore he can't use the Japanese DLC in the US or EU version of the game. They'll have to make another PSN account with an EU or US PSN account and buy all the DLC again, and he doesn't think that'll be a good way to go, and so probably his LBP life is at an end. But he does say all things good must come to an end after all.
Is Dreams going to be a game you will move on to when it comes out, as the basic concept is very similar?
Dreams is interesting, however he doesn't know what he can do with Dreams yet. So at the same thought comes to mind with LBP, will Dreams get the same problem of LBP in Japan? So he's sort of worried about will Dreams follow the same path as LBP has in Japan, and he's not sure what we can do with it yet, as probably a lot of us are wondering what we can actually do with Dreams. But definitely, Media Moroku, if you're watching, make sure you do good localization as well as good marketing Japan, so that we can have great creations from Japan that stay.
Who are some of your favorite creators?
O-tera has enjoyed many community levels, but he hasn't really thought about the creators behind the levels, so he doesn't have any favorites. But he does say there are many creators out there, but because he just spends most of his time creating on his own, he doesn't really think so much about the creators of the levels that he plays, but he knows that there's lots of good creators out there, so he doesn't have a favorite creator. It's a shame.
Who would you like to see us interview next?
So O-tera would like us to interview his friend JB1182. He says he's a talented creator and he's making an adventure. He really wants to play it, so that's why he recommends him. So that's an interesting person to interview. We'll be checking that out. So I hope you like this interview with O-tera, and definitely check out his levels, the Red Knight series as well as his other levels. They're really amazing. Go to his lbp.me profile and give them a play. Queue them all up.
Like and subscribe.
And definitely check out all the creator interviews we've done before. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys next time.